Is this working? No, no it isn't. I haven't got the scene set up at all. Can I fix this? Talking. I need a background, I need music. General? General. Okay, I'm back. You can. My voice is back again. Did I have spot? Did I have music? Okay. Spotify? Are you there? Interesting. Do I need to be on studio mode and then I can... Oh, okay, I need to be on studio mode and I can edit things in other scenes. Okay. It's learning. If I turn off... Spotify very quiet. Whoa. How's that? There we go. Is that we've got background music? That works. Hooray! I want to make myself look better. How do I do that? Oh, if I mute. Okay, I need to mute the stream. I can hear myself double. I can hear myself double. No, I don't want that. You don't want that. Do you want that? Me? Me? Future past me? Do you want that? Because I am talking to myself. Maybe not. What am I doing? Oh, my trail of thought is just all over the place at the moment. Can I... Wait, hold on. Do I take myself off this? Okay. And then I do this. Haha! And then I make this the right size. There we go. It's me. On the screen. In nature. Should I have moved my... Can I move my feet down? Maybe I should move my feet down so I'm not just floating. Do I look good floating? Yeah, I think that's fine. I think I look fine. Oh, why am I so weary? So drained and so weary. I have just got back from holiday. And so I am sleepy. I had a good holiday. I had a great time on holiday. I was in Croatia. I had a lovely time in Croatia. Oh, the city, the country. I said island and I said city. Now it is a country. Last time I checked, Croatia was in fact a country. And I had a lovely time. What am I doing? Is this it? This is just me talking. How long can I do this for? I don't know. But I guess I want to find out. How do I add text onto the screen? Can I just be like, whoa, text. Text. There's an option for text. Whoa, text. Let's call it text. Hello, text. Text. To do. How do I edit the text? How do I be like, change the text? Okay. Things I want to do. Exclamation mark. Let's put it there. Things I want to do. Can I? Oh, I can select font and I can select color. Wow. Ooh, Bookman old style. Ah, that's a fun one. Can I change the color to be like a bit more green? Is that a good green? I don't know. Oh, I can't see that green at all. Maybe just stick with white. White works, right? Does it blend over the dots on my head? Are they spots or are they dots? I don't know. Things I want to do. Oh, brain, please wake up. Things I want to do. Things I want to do. La 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 la. What's the thing I want to do? What's like the number one? Things I want to do. Music. And book. Okay. Music and book. Maybe I'll change that to writing. How do I edit it again? Oh, on here. Music, writing. I want to do more music. I want to do more writing. What else do I want to do? Game show. I want to do a game show. It'd be fun to do a game show. And then TTRPG. Music, writing, game show, TTRPG. What else? Is there anything else? Can I add on? If I do like a Control C and a Control V. Can I? Oh no, don't do that. Nice. Oh, don't change everything. Why is it? What are you? Wait, what? Are you linked? What have I done? I've made two scenes that edit the same. Remove. Okay, let's put. What was that first one? Music. Music. Okay. Let's not do it that way. Let's add another text like this. Text 2. Okay, then let's call it nice things that would be nice to do. No. Let's just keep it all in things I want to do. Cancel you, delete you, don't need you. Get out of here. Goodbye. You're gone. Things I want to do. Learn to draw. Okay. Well, I've got a list. I want to do. What do I? Things to do. Why am I so sleepy? I've been waking up so early recently. So incredibly early. You wouldn't believe it. I've been waking up at 4 AM in the morning. Like I go to sleep at maybe like 11 and then I wake up at about 4. And so I am getting maybe 5 hours sleep at night. It's better than I used to be doing. I used to go to sleep at like 2, 3 AM and then wake up at 4. I used to just not sleep at all, really. That was horrendous those times. So at least I'm falling asleep easier. Maybe it's my bed. When I move to a new flat, okay, the list, things I want to do. Move. I want to move. Learn to drive. I want to learn to drive. Okay. Then move. Move house. I want to move house. I've been in my flat for a good few years now, and I think it is time to move on. Because don't get me wrong, I love the flat that I'm in currently. I love the location of it, I love the flat. I don't love the building that it's in. I think the building could be so much better. And I'd love, if I could take this flat and I could move it to another building, like a much nicer building where, you know, the carpets were actually cleaned. The rubbish was actually taken out from that huge rubbish like tip thing that they have down there. Everywhere just wasn't so horrendous. I think I'd do it. But I can't do that. So instead, I just have to move to get to a much nicer apartment building. Do I want a flat? Or do I want a house? I live by myself, you see. I used to live with a flatmate, but he moved out. He abandoned me. Ah! He went to move in with his girlfriend, and I, just the normal friend, was left abandoned, all alone. But he was never here anyway, to be fair. He was never here. He lived here for maybe like 3 years on paper, but he was only spent maybe 1 year in total actually in the place. He would literally come home maybe once a week. Even that, I'd see him less than that. Well, it went from the other extreme. There was a period where he lost his job, and so he was unemployed, and so he was only here for like 4 or 5 months straight, and I work from home, and in my time in my position at the job, I could quite easily do very little work, because I had a job. Well, I've still got the same job, but my role, I guess, do I have the same job? I'm still with the same company, but my job back then was different with the company. Was it a different job? I guess it's the same job with the same company, but situations have changed. Have they changed? Okay, it's the same job, with the same company, with the same situations. However, back then, I could very easily do a tiny bit of work for the day, and then that would be it. And I would be able to get through just fine. And so I'd get up, I'd do a tiny bit of work, wait until he got up at maybe like 1 p.m, maybe 2 p.m, and then we would just play games and just have fun and do silly things all day, every day. But those times didn't last. Well, they did last. They lasted about 5 or 6 months. And then times changed. But they do. I sound like I'm drunk, or I sound like I'm high or something. I'm not. I'm just tired. Times do change. Eventually. But that's okay. Because it makes way for new ventures to come in. Makes way for new exciting things to happen. Such as moving house. Which I want to do. I'm in a position where I'm just waiting for a promotion at work. A promotion which should come with a nice pay rise. Ooh, I want the pay rise. I want more money. And then with more money I can move to a better place. And then from there do better things. However, I feel like I'm in a point where I use that as an excuse to not do anything. I'm like, oh, I'll do it after I move. Oh, well, I don't want to do it now. I'll do it after I move. You know, things like everything in this list. Apart from move house, that is the one thing that I can't do until I get a promotion. Learn to drive, maybe. But all these other things I can do, but I'm just not doing them. Why aren't I doing them? Oh, I used to do them. Apart from game show, I've never done a game show, and I've never learned to drive. Music, writing, music. I am sort of doing some music for when I was much younger. Much younger. When I was a wee little mushroom in my little mushroom colony, living with my mushroom parents. Well, my mushroom parent. I was learning piano, and I got quite good at it. I did a lot of piano throughout high school, and I think I reached a good. I learned Scott Joplin, Maple Leaf Rag. Can I just do the whole thing? No. What am I doing? I learned Scott Joplin, Maple Leaf Rag. I learned Nocturne by Chopin. And then I just sort of... I went to uni. Actually, no, I know the event in my life that made me stop doing piano. But thankfully, during uni, I took a keyboard. My dad gave me a keyboard when I went to uni. This cheap keyboard that I have cherished this entire time. It's next to me right now. I would like a nicer one, but I think I'm going to keep this one forever. Same with my guitar. I have a guitar that my dad gifted to me when I was young, and when I was a kid, I never learnt how to do it, to his dismay, I think. But I've been learning recently. I've been practicing my chords. I've been practicing, like, I can do 3 different scales. Wow. I can play like the major and some of the minor chords and some of the easy positions for them. Wow. And my fingers hurt. The tips of my fingers. Oh, they hurt so much. Ow. But hopefully it's getting to the point where the tips of my fingers are starting to get harder. They're calcifying? Calcifying? Is that the right word? They're getting calluses on them, and they are getting harder, and hopefully that's going to mean that I can press the strings on the piano a bit easier. Oh, is that how it works? So my fingers hurt because I have to press really hard to push the strings down because the tips of my fingers are all soft and fleshy. Fleshy fingers. But if the tips of my fingers get harder, that means I can use less force to push down the strings, right? Because they don't like bend around the strings because they're hard. They're no longer soft and fleshy. They get hard and fleshy. That is. Maybe I shouldn't describe myself as hard and fleshy. So the tips of my fingers are hard and fleshy. Well, they're getting there. They're getting harder. Okay, the tips of my fingers are getting harder. And that should mean that I can push down lighter on the strings and be able to have like the same amount of ness on the string, you know? So that I can play the notes so that my fingers won't hurt. And that just comes with practice. That just comes with time. Right? There's a natural thing that the body does as I practice. And I've been practicing. I have been practicing. I'd like to keep up practicing as well. I don't want to just give it up. I really, things I want to do. I want to do them. I want to do them, so I will do them. I can't keep using the excuse of, oh, everything will be better when I move. Because no, it won't be. If I just keep the same mindset of always, because if I always think things will be better after something happens, then it'll always be something else. It'll be like, things will be better when I move, things will be better when I do something else, and then I do that, and then, oh no, things will be better when I do something else. Oh, and that just, is it laziness? It's giving excuses to be lazy, which I don't want to do. I want to do things. Ah. But look at me, I'm this chubby little mushroom with my tiny little eyes and my little smile. Hello, hello, little smile. And so I want to do it. I want to get better at piano as well. What was I saying? I mentioned piano at one point. So I used to do a lot of piano. I didn't do it all throughout sixth form, so years 12 and 13 at school, and then the 4 years I was at university, didn't do it, and then didn't play for maybe like 3 years after graduating. So I didn't play piano for like 10 years. I got really good as a child and then just didn't play for like 10 years. And so when I did eventually pick up the piano maybe a year ago again now, I felt like I was back at square one, having to redo everything, and at that moment, I just thought to myself, what would I be like if I didn't give up, if I hadn't have stopped? How good could I be right now if I had kept going all those years? Why did I stop? But of course, there's no point in dwelling on that, I don't think. I don't think there's any point in dwelling on that. The thing to dwell on at the moment is, how can I ensure that I don't stop again? How can I ensure that I can keep going with the piano, with the guitar? And how can I take that to next steps? So, there's one thing to play an instrument, and it's another thing to write your own music. I have written my own music. I've got a few videos up on this channel, but when was the last time I did one of them? If I go and have a look at my videos, when was the last time I uploaded? How do I see? Where's my list of videos? Videos. When was this? So I'm not counting The Damned, because The Damned was something that I wrote ages ago and then finally just put onto thing. But even that was February 7th. Even that was so long ago. That's my most viewed video with 39 views. Wow. And it's got a neat... I love this comment by Roxy Peroxide. Rocky Peroxide. I'd say practice your singing a bit. It sounds a bit like you're trying to catch a train instead of conveying your feelings. Oh, well, at least I know that if I ever need to catch a train, I've got it. I've got that down in the bag, being able to catch a train. But I need to convey my... But then he does follow up. I assume he. It might be a she. I don't know. It just feels like everyone's on the internet is a he. Is that's sexist of me? Okay, they. It kind of feels a bit rushed. But other than that, nice! I can imagine some guitar and drums. Well, I can't do drums, but I'm getting there with guitar. Slowly. Very slowly. To make it a symphonic metal song. It has potential. Keep going. Which is what a nice comment. What a nice comment. Oh. I've had one comment on the live stream so far. Does it show up in any of... does it show up on the comments of the actual live stream? No. But I had a comment on the live stream. I was playing Slay the Spire. Because, oh boy, I have been loving that game. Slay the Spire has been so good. 2 to be exact. Slay the Spire 2 has been brilliant. I love that game so much. I want to play more. I will play more at some point. Don't know when. Plan to play more. And I've got one comment on that. I don't get any views. I get no views. It's just as I don't get right now. How many views have I got? 1? Is it myself? 1 watching now. It is me. Hello. Which is why I've titled this Talking to Myself. Because I don't get views. I just get myself. And that's fine. That's probably what I need right now, isn't it? Someone I can talk to. Which is myself. Is that sad? Maybe. Possibly. But it's helping clear my head. And it's helping get things through. Because I'm just so tired. All the time. And I hate it. I go to sleep and I'm tired and I just lie in bed awake. Even though I'm so tired. And then when I do fall asleep, I wake up at 4 AM. Tired. And so I lay in bed until maybe 6. I got up at 6 this morning. Because I was just awake in bed. So I got up. And I was tired. So all morning I've been tired. I tidied my room. Did some hoovering. Did the washing. Got myself some food. And I'm just tired. I feel the only times when I don't feel tired is when I'm interacting with people. Say like, but doing something fun that I want to interact. You know, like when you're interacting, people can be tiring at times. If you're stuck in a conversation you don't want to be in. So for example, you're talking to a work colleague and they're telling you at length about I don't know, something that you have zero interest in, and you can't get out of it. That's tiring. But when you're with friends, when you're just talking with friends, TTRPG, when you're playing games with friends, oh, I feel so alive during those times. I feel so awake, so alive. And I feel like my brain actually just wakes up during those periods. Okay, let's move on to TTRPG. I'm going to skip writing and game show. We'll move that around. We'll come back to TTRPG for now. No. I was talking about music. I wanted to say that I want to get back into writing music. And I've done a bit of singing, such as The Damned, but I want to get better at singing. I want to do it. I want to do it so badly. And I just need to do it. And I'm hoping that if I can just get into a mindset where it doesn't just feel like such a daunting task to start again. Because I have done it in the past, months and months ago, and oh, it was so fun! Writing music is so fun! I don't think I even understand how fun it was. Do I understand? Do you understand? Me? Hello? Me? Just me? Anyone else? Just me. Just me. Hello. Do I even understand how fun it was? Because, oh, boy, it was fun. It was so fun. And I've got ideas that I want to do. Ideas for songs. Which is one of the main reasons why I'm learning guitar. I want to get... So I have an acoustic guitar. Which, alright, okay, that can be recorded in. However, with an electric guitar, maybe electric acoustic. No, just electric. Well, maybe I want it all. I want an electric acoustic, and just an acoustic. So I've got the acoustic. I love the acoustic. It's the acoustic that was gifted from my dad. It is a beautiful guitar. I need to learn to play it. I need to change the strings on it, in fact. I need new strings. It's got very old strings on it. Which can't be good, right? So it needs new strings. But I want a guitar that I can plug directly into my PC. Well, not directly into, like maybe through some sort of interface, but a guitar that I can connect to my PC. You know the one where, and then I can play notes directly into recording software, such as Ableton Live, which is the one that I've been using in the past. And oh, that would open up a lot more boundaries of what music I can make. Because there's one thing having a keyboard connected to the computer. That allows me to do a lot. But I don't think I can get that guitar sound. You know, that strumming motion. That strumming sound. Like, ding. You know, that noise. Ding. Ding, 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 ding. I want to get a guitar. An electric guitar that I can plug in. And then I can get better at singing. And then I can make, if I can sing, and if I can play guitar, and if I keep going with piano. Oh, the music that I could make. The music. Sing for me. And all that sort of stuff. And I want to do it. And I think I can. I think I can do it. I just need to do it. You know, as in, I can do it if I do it. If I don't do it, I won't do it. Because I'll never... Well, I don't know that I can do it. I know that I want to do it. And if I do it, and it proves that I can't do it, well, at least I tried. At least I tried to do it, rather than always wanting to and never doing it. So I need to do it. And I will do it. And I shouldn't keep telling myself, oh, I'll do it when I move. I'll do it when this happens. I'll do it when that happens. Because I'll always be something else to me to wait for. Some other thing that I'm using as an excuse to not do it. Oh, okay, that was the music side. Guitar, learn guitar, keep going with piano, learn to sing. Write music. So 4 points under music. Writing only has 2 points under it. Because, okay, I love making music, but I love writing stories as well. Fiction, I'm not interested in non-fiction. I like to create my own stuff. And I have. I've written, what, like 6 or 7 short stories? Vast majority to do with this character. Oh, Ral. This character that I've created in this world. That I want it to expand to. This character with Ral. Who's a cross between a Doctor Who type character and... oh... like just a character that is in himself mysterious and finds himself in situations where he has the technical expertise to resolve those situations, saving others potentially from peril. Not always. And where Doctor Who is very technological focused. Everything is technology, isn't it? I know that some of the newer seasons has gods and stuff, which isn't technological focused, but the vast majority is technology. You know, he's got his TARDIS, which is a machine. He's got his sonic screwdriver, which is a machine, which is a tool. But Ral is very mystical. It's very natural, I think is how I would describe it. The setting is... perhaps, what's the best way? Like a late 1700s, early 1800s world. So technology, middle-age technology has reached its peak, and the world is tipping towards industry. But in that world, gods... So that the huge broad setting is, it's a world where the gods are proven to have been real. There is undeniable proof that gods, well, I guess not undeniable, there's a huge amount of proof that gods used to be on the world. Gods used to walk the planet. However, they are not here anymore. They have gone, they have left, and they took the majority of magic with them. So it's almost like a magical dark age is what the world is currently in, as it is heading towards an industrial revolution. But maybe it's... No, I think it's come out of the Dark Age, actually. Because it's been, I'd say, maybe a few thousand years since these gods, or whatever they were, have left. And the magic has faded. The magic is gone. But it hasn't fully gone. Because there are still humans that can use magic. And it's very much going to be like, oh, well... what's the... You know, the common trope? I have that common trope where it's like the rich and the nobles are the ones that have magic. But, I mean, that's the way it would make sense, right? If, over generations and generations of humans, there's a select percentage, a relatively low select percentage, that has power that is far superior to other humans, those ones with power would most likely intermingle among themselves. And so a man with power might marry a woman with magical power, and so have a child born with magical power. And someone like that would be invaluable to the powerful. In this case would be kingdoms, right? So kings and queens. Kings and queens would want people of these powers on their side, and so they would shower them with riches to keep them. And so in turn, the rich and the powerful are the ones with magic. Because that's just the way that it turns out. And then magic marries magic, and so children with magic are born. Because imagine it's a hereditary lineage. You know, like the bloodline is the way... Well, the way I've said that it works, the way that I've decided that I think it will work, is that it's like a genetic. A father that has the ability to control fire marries a woman that has the ability to control stone. Well, then the child will most likely have one of those two abilities. Perhaps both, perhaps something else. Most likely it will be one of those two. And so what families will probably do is they would marry for the magic. So you'd have a man that has the ability of controlling fire marrying a woman with the same ability of controlling fire that has a child with the ability of controlling fire. And so you have ancestries and bloodlines that have their own magical lineage and have their own techniques and their own styles. Because if you're this rich and powerful noble that can fight with magic, you'd want the same position for your child. Perhaps you have land, perhaps you have employees, perhaps you have a lot of wealth to your name. You want a child to inherit your legacy. So I think there's no avoiding it. There's no avoiding. In a world where there's only a select percentage of people that have magic, set in an era of countries and companies and select few having large amounts of wealth, peasants and nobles, it will always be the nobles that have the magic. Because humanity would just never go any other way. It just wouldn't be realistic, I guess. It's sort of... Realism keeps to itself, if that makes sense. Does that make sense? Realism keeps to itself. So the setting includes that. But I think the aim is to make it so it doesn't feel like, oh, it's that trope, so it falls into that trope. And so it just uses, so all the expectations of that trope arise. So it isn't something that feels like, oh, it's just a copy and paste of other tropes. It should be something that feels organic, something that feels unique in and of itself. And that'll be the challenge. And I think I've got there with Ral, some of Ral's stuff, because although all that is in the world, he deals with these unique scenarios where gods have left, magic has faded, select percentage of nobles and powerful have magic. It's like the magic that they can use is supposedly weaker than the magic they could use in the past during the Age of the Gods. But also during the Age of the Gods there was a lot more magical beasts and magical creatures and magical beings and like spiritual and mystical existences that existed off of magic rather than matter. And when the gods left and when magic faded, those beings and those creatures faded as well. However, what if there are edge cases where there were some beings that didn't fade? Some things of magical nature that still exist, so exceedingly rare that they are the stuff of legends, the stuff of myths and fables. And this is where the character of Ral comes in, because he is the one that deals with these creatures when they start to pose a threat to nearby life. So what have I got? I had a story called In the Village of Death, where I guess, how would I explain it? Even though the gods are gone, there are still gods, but they're not in the same essence of being these grand creators. These are gods that help maintain the balance of the natural world. I guess maybe saying that magic has faded is wrong. Saying that magic is gone is wrong. It's just that magic in itself has shifted form. So magic is life. Magic is existence. Magic is the balance of everything. And so there are these beings that exist that are the arbiters of this balance. They are the ones that keep everything in check. These are, as I've titled them, land gods. Because they live in areas of land, say a mountain would have its own land god. A lake would have its own land god. A forest would have a land god that keeps the balance. And in the story, in the Village of Death, a land god that manages an entire mountain range was slain by a human. And without the land god, the balance of life and death in that area runs wild. And death prevails, and it spreads like a curse from the creature's body. And so the story starts with Ral arriving at this village of death. Everything is dying. The land, the crops, the land is drying, the crops are failing, the buildings are cracking and falling, the people are withering away, the trees and grass are rotting. And he arrives at this village, and so it is up to him. This small little place with no nobles, there's no other people that have magic. Ral himself, does he have magic? He sort of doesn't have magic, but he has knowledge of how these magical things work. And so he is a creature, is creature the right term? Because he's not exactly human. He's more than human, but he travels among the humans and he keeps them safe from their own mistakes. Such as this case, where he has the knowledge and the means to resurrect a land god. And so that's the story. Him traveling to the village, discovering what's going on, finding the body, resurrecting the land god. Then there's a twist in the story, and then it ends, type thing. It's a short story. It's not very long. It's only a few thousand words. But I think it helps captivate what I want to have in a character like Ral. Because he's not a fighter. He's he's not an explorer. Well, maybe he's an explorer. He's an adventurer. He's an explorer. He's a scholar. He's a collector. But he is by no means a fighter. Those are the nobles that use their magic, that fight in the armies of their kingdoms or their companies. And so the stories of Ral always take on a more mystical and almost natural feel to them. Because there was another story where it's just him sat at a campfire, retelling his tale to a group of 3 travellers that he met on his route, telling the tale of some creature that existed near their town. A creature of magic which should have been forgotten by the world, and yet still manages to hang on. A creature which posed a danger to the town, and the creature which he had no choice but to remove. But even in that act, it pained him to remove this creature, which may very well have been the last of its kind. But how could he allow something that would pose a threat to an entire village to live, even if it did mean killing the last of it? And so he met that choice, and he made his choice. Did he make the right choice? I don't know. That's not for me as the author to say. That's for the reader to decide. But I want to write so many more stories of Ral. These little short stories of these encounters that he has with mostly creatures that should no longer exist. Creatures that he uniquely has knowledge of and knows of the means to stop them. Creatures that pose a threat to small human civilizations, maybe not even human. Maybe it could be something else. Do I want to have something else? Creatures that pose a threat to the natural order of the world. So I guess that would include humans in that case, but the humans would be the bad guys because they pose a threat. Maybe I could have a story with humans as the bad guys. That's always a classic trope, because humans often are so totally the bad guys. When it comes to nature, we are the villain. By far, we are the villain. I need to explore that a lot more. This is what I'm saying. Ideas of stories that I just don't write for some reason. I just don't do it. I always have an excuse of a time of when I will do them. Like, oh, I'll do them when I move house. Oh, I'll do them when I do this. When I do that. But there's so many more. The story of... Oh, there was the story where he meets those 2 children that has the flute and loses the flute to the bottom of the lake. And so Ral swims down to the bottom of the lake, only to find that the lake is far deeper and far mysterious, far more mysterious than he initially thought. And so revelations come to pass about Ral. My character, my creation, Ral. So he wanders mainly the remote areas of the world. The places where the nobles and their magic and all of their power just simply don't exist. These are the common people, the peasants, that don't know magic other than tales they hear of feats by others in faraway lands and faraway places. And then that brings me on to the second point, is a novel. Because what if we had a different point of view into this world? The point of view of someone that did experience the nobles and the magic and the kingdoms and the fighting and the secrets of the world. That sort of story. Oh, I want to write the story. But that was just the second idea for the book. It started out as something in our world, where what if it was the modern day and age, and like the nobles in that other world, humans in our world started to unlock magic, or started to awaken magical abilities. Awakening's Dream. That was the name of it. I finished the draft, and then I rewrote the draft, and I did it again and again, and now, I say recently, several months ago, I started on iteration 5 of the draft, refining the story more and more, cutting out the extra characters, fixing plot holes, changing ambitions to make them feel more correct. More correct? You can be correct, but can you be more correct? Because correct is an absolute. I guess not. You can be part-way correct. You can be sort of correct, can't you? Being correct is not an absolute, so you can be more correct. Does that make sense? So I want to finish my book, and then I want to write the part 2, and then I want to write the second book, and then the third book, and then plot out this entire story that I have, all in my head. Introduce Ral as a character that they can encounter. Write so many more. I want to build this world. But so many people do world building, where they sit down and they write out every aspect of the world. And I don't like that. I don't like huge info docs where it says like there are 7 kingdoms on the southern peninsula of the Appalago peaks. These kingdoms are this kingdom, Kingdom 1, Kingdom 2. Kingdom 1 has more wine than Kingdom 2, however Kingdom 2 has more iron. And then just lists and lists of details. I don't like that. I like to come up with these worlds through the point of view of stories of people in the world. Because a world, especially a human world, is so shaped by individual motivations. Like the kings and queens of old only did what they wanted to do through their own personal motivations, whether that was self-motivations of greed, or motivations of... what's the word I'm looking for? Motivations of wanting to protect. I guess there's 2 types of motivation, isn't there? I guess there's 3. I guess there's 4, but I don't want to understand the 4th one. So the first motivation would be the betterment of oneself. So, you want more money, you want more strength, you want more power, you want more lovers, the betterment of oneself, or the motivation for the betterment of others. You want the people around you to have more money, you want the people around you to have better living conditions, you want the people around you to have a better life. Or the third motivation is you want people or peoples to have a worse life. So perhaps you want a specific group to suffer. Perhaps you want a singular person to die. That is a motivation. And we get to the 4th and final motivation, which is never a nice one. You want the suffering of yourself. So this could be perhaps you think that you have committed a sin, or you have committed an atrocity, and you believe that you deserve to be punished, And so you decide to bring that punishment upon yourself. Perhaps it's a situation where you choose to exile yourself. Perhaps it's a situation where you choose to lose a certain amount of power. Or, in the most extreme cases, a situation where you decide to kill yourself. These are motivations. And these 4 types of motivations is what shapes the world. And I find it so much more interesting to follow, to experience, to follow, to learn the world through people's motivations, rather than just outright stating the facts of what there is. Because you could do it for days, you could do it for years, building out every intricate detail. But what's the point if you haven't got a story to tell by the end of it? I think that's the same with TTRPGs. You can so easily fall into the trap of building your world, and by the end of it you have a world, but there's no story. Unless you're doing a sandbox, where you give the players free rein to do whatever they want. Then you'd have a story and you just do the world. That's the only time you can build. I think you should do just world building, is when you're running a sort of sandbox style campaign. However, what was I saying however to? Was I saying however to myself? What was my original point? The book. So I have a book that I want to finish. I have short stories that I want to finish. And I have a world that I want to build up through stories that I set in the world. Have I even decided whether these gods truly were gods? Because this is the thing about deities, is it's the human condition to deify a person of power. Say, along comes a man who plays on your beliefs of what you believe your god to be like. And so this is very much how cults are formed. And so you see this person as meeting the criteria of your god. And then it can get to a point where this person becomes your god. Perhaps this is through skill, perhaps this is through charisma. Either way, a person stops seeing them as another person and sees them as something more. And from there, tales and legends and stories can grow so quickly out of control of what they once were, to the point where a normal man is remembered in history as a god. And I would very much like to explore that topic of, we have a world with undeniable evidence that god-like beings existed. However, these godlike beings are just humans, immensely powerful humans, but humans, not gods. Where do you draw the line? Now that I think about it, if a human becomes sufficiently powerful enough, would they not just by classification become a god? Say if a human gained the ability to create a new universe that they could design at will, is that human not a god? Perhaps they are. Maybe all gods start out as humans. But that's a topic, that's a theme I would like to explore in the book. And the other one is religion. What would the religions of this world look like if there existed this proof of these godlike beings existing in the world? Because magic in itself, something as powerful as magic, say someone has the ability to summon fire into their hand, and they can throw that fire at an opponent, or at a target rather than an opponent, and that ability is honed to the point where if a regular human saw it, it would be beyond belief of what they could do. In a world like that, gods would be so believable, so much more than they are in our world. And so what would religion look like? How would they worship? How would they pray? What would they believe in? If, say, there was a god for each, so say it's a magic system that has the elements. You know, one person controls water, one person controls air, one person controls fire, one person controls something else, etc., etc. And say if each element had its own god, so these people from the past that were so powerful they could only be viewed upon by the others as gods, perhaps it would be that the noble that wields fire worships the god of fire. The noble that wields water worships the god of water. That would feel logical. But then would that just be a simple... But there's never just one religion. I mean, what do we have in our world? We have, what, like 3,000 religions or something like that? That's a lot of different beliefs. And so in another equally sized world, there would be that many. Give or take a few, it would still be an incredibly huge number. And so what would they all look like? How would they differ? What would prayer be? Would they build holy places? Or would the concept of a holy place not even exist for some of them? What rituals would they have? Or would it go the other extreme, where everything is so steeped in religion that there is not a moment of your life where you are away from it? Where there is no holy place, because everything around you is holy. All that you do, all that you eat, all of your work, all of your free time is all spent towards the betterment of this religion. I think there's a huge world has enough space for all of it. And in any world where there are people of different beliefs, there will naturally become violence. And so I think in this world, much like our own, religion will be a main cause for warfare. And so there's only one city that I've thought about. A city of industry. Because if there's people with magic, the structures that they could build would be so far beyond what we in our past could do. And so imagine a 18th century city situated in the northern tundras of this planet. The snow outside the city walls piles high, and yet the city has no snow within it because it is built onto the edge of an active volcano, and the heat and the lava of that volcano is used to heat the waters of a great river that runs through the city. A river which is turned into steam and funneled through pipes throughout the entire city, powering endless infrastructure that, among many other things, keeps the city warm and stops the snow from falling. Now, this city would be damp. This city would be very damp. If everything is powered by steam, and if steam is vented into the air to keep the ground, so there would be steam vents everywhere, all along the streets, all along the buildings, and those would immediately condense, giving everything outside just a damp coating, unless they had a magical means of preventing this. So they have steam that keeps the city warm, and they have magic which keeps the city dry. But then that begs the question of why have the extra step? Why not have magic that keeps the city warm? And why would that be? I don't know. I'd have to think about that one. Then perhaps it isn't a city that is kept warm by steam, it's a city that is powered by the steam. And I was thinking about this. What alternative technologies could another world discover? Because the logics of mechanics are very obvious. Any place in a physical world where there is a form of intelligence will naturally discover mechanics. Levers and wheels and chains. The idea that if you pull on a lever, that can produce force at the other end. That is undeniable. It is undeniable that someone will discover that. However, what if they don't discover electricity? What if it is something else which we have not discovered? What if they have discovered ways to manipulate dimensions? So, in our world we have the forces that run through it. Most notably, we have potential energies. And there's that famous quote that energy cannot be created and it cannot be destroyed. It merely transfers from one form into another. And what if there is energy that can change between dimensions? So we have X, Y, and Z dimensions, and we have dimensions of time. But if there are more dimensions than that, and a technology is discovered where we are able to move objects through those other dimensions, what would that do to energy? Could we have ways of generating energy through the use of moving objects through other dimensions? And so instead of electricity to power a light bulb, instead of electricity to power a machine, we have a dimensional technology. Some object that is rotated through the 7th dimension emits light when it has done so. Some object, when it's rotated through the 5th dimension, emits a force onto its x-axis. Something like that. And so we could have a world that is powered by something so different to what we have here. And then, but how far could we stretch it? Well, this is fantasy. We can stretch it as far as we want. Imagine different shapes cause different effects when they are rotated through different dimensions. Imagine you could build a drive that when spun, it doesn't spin around its x-axis, it spins around through some unknown axis we haven't discovered. And when it does so, it affects gravity around it. And now we have an airship using some sort of gravity drive through dimensional technology. I think that could be cool. However, it needs to be written, but you can, all these ideas, I think, don't do anything unless they are written in a believable way. And I think the way to make something believable is to have characters that just accept it as the way it is. Because we just accept that electricity works, we accept that when we flick a light switch, the light bulb turns on. You have a story where someone flicks a switch and the light bulb turns on, and they act as if that is nothing unusual, that's an everyday occurrence. That's believable, because we know that that happens. But you have a world where, say, you rotate this object and it emits light. You rotate an object through an axis that we don't perceive, some other, imagine like a W axis, and it emits light. That to us is strange, but to have a character in the world that just doesn't even register that this is strange, because this isn't strange to them, this is normal. And so to have them act as it's normal makes it believable. Because I always have the problem with exposition. The way some people present exposition in a way that does not flow naturally to the narrative that is happening around them. I don't think that's good. Because there's... What would be a good example? Imagine a scenario where someone is in an organisation and they are talking, they're in a company and they're talking to a colleague. Now, both the person that is talking and the person they are talking to know what the company produces. However, the audience don't. And so, a normal conversation between these two colleagues wouldn't have them continuously mentioning in explicit statements what the company does. So imagine you have a conversation. Well, what's a good example of what the company does? Imagine the company makes nails. maybe that's too dumb. Imagine the company makes what would be a good example? Imagine the company is a logging company. It's a conversation between two executives wanting to do something. And so throughout that conversation they're like, oh, have you seen the new figures of how many trees we have cut down over this area? We need to cut down... I guess that would make sense. My own example doesn't work. But you know the point I'm trying to get at? Where these two people having a conversation in a normal world wouldn't keep explicitly stating information that
wouldn't naturally be said just for the purpose of an audience member watching, so they can understand, because that is exposition. That's giving the audience information that they need, or that you believe that they need in the story. However, because it is done in an unnatural way, it just pulls away from the story. Am I even making a point here? Have I just talked myself into nothing? So they need to make that point, but they do it in such a way where it makes it feel unnatural, and so it pulls away from the authenticity of the story. So imagine we have this scenario, and we have two people that walk into a room, and they start a device in the middle that causes something to spin, which emits a bright light. And in that moment, the two of them look at it and say something along the lines of, "Incredible! I didn't realise that rotating along the W-axis that fast could produce so much light." And they're like, "Yes, it's a recent, it's an improvement to the technology." And then the other person is like, "Yes, we've had them for 20 years. Why are you mentioning this now?" You know what I mean? Am I even making any point? Am I making any sense? Basically, it wouldn't be natural for them to explain something that they just accept as always being true, because you wouldn't walk into a room, turn on a light switch, and then explain to the person that you're with that, "Oh yes, this is a light. It generates electricity. It generates light through the use of electricity." You'd never say that to someone, because the other person knows that, because everyone knows that, unless you're in some explicit scenario where they are actively teaching the other person that. I'm just on a rant about exposition. Why do some people feel the need? I guess, is it just because everyone just views the audience as idiots, I think, is the problem. Are the audience idiots? Isn't there are people watching stupid? You know what I mean? They just treat them like people are idiots. Where you can understand how something works by watching it work. You don't need to then explain how it works just so you're like sure that the audience understands how it works. The audience can figure it out for themselves. They don't need to be told. You don't want too much exposition is a bad thing. You want to limit your amount of exposition. What am I doing? What am I talking about? So we have this world, this city, and then perhaps it's this like isolated city-state city, built on the edge of an active volcano, using the lava of the volcano to fuel steam, and then they have shapes that have been moved through, like the X or the Y, not the X, like not X and Y, the other ones, like through like W or Z dimensions, so that when steam is run through them, effects happen, and that's how things are powered, through a mixture of mechanics being powered by steams, classic industrial creations, and then dimensional technology powered by steam. So like the equivalent of electricity in a world that doesn't discover electricity and discovers an alternative technology that must be presented in a way that all of everyone there is accustomed to it, because it just is. That's just how the world works, or how that city works. You have a newcomer coming to the city that's never seen the technology before. Excellent, that's how you describe it, because the players, not the players, I'm talking as of TTRPG terms, the readers learn as that character learns. But if it's a scenario where there's no characters learning, and yet the information is still stated in an unnatural way, it just is so off-putting and pulls you out from the story. What am I saying? What's my point here? I need to write it in a way where it's believable. And I want to write it, and I will write it, because I want to do it. And I'm going to do it before I move house. I'm not going to wait until I move house so I can start it. I'll do it before. But not now, because I'm tired. Am I tired? I am tired. I'm rambling so just on and on and on because I'm so tired. Okay. What have I talked about? Music and writing? Game show. Oh, I would love to have my own game show. Imagine having the power over people. Imagine having that power. How loud am I when I speak? Am I shouting? So this is why I want to move, because the place I'm in has really thin walls. My neighbours can probably hear me. It's probably annoying. It's probably annoying for them. Should I boost my mic so I can speak like this? Would it be better if I just spoke like this the entire time? Is that different? Is that the same? I don't even know anymore. One of us just spoke the entire time like this. Just hello everybody. Hello. I'm here just to be. Just to be. I am nothing more than myself. Yeah? That's how it works, right? Because I am myself. Yes, I listen to myself saying that I'm myself. Thank you, me. Thank you, me, for being myself. And here I go. So, I've been talking to myself for an hour and 20. I want a game show. I want my own game show. That'd be a dream, to run my own game show. The Anything Goes game show. Where every episode has unique mechanics for the way they work. I've got a list somewhere on my phone of like 30 different episode ideas. I think it's 32 different episode ideas. Some of them can be done in person, some of them can only be done in person, some of them can only be done online. Every game show will have a winner by the end of it. And they all have different mechanics. I don't want to. Oh, do I remember it? What are some of the ideas that I remember off the top of my head? There's the one that I called Future Winner, where I give say we have 3 players, and I give some players the prompt of what is something that would be very annoying to do in the morning. So something like that. I then get the players to come up with an idea of something that would be annoying. And then they take turns coming up with an idea, and then I will choose the one that I think would be the most annoying. And then I give them the question. For 10 points, how many days would you do this thing that they themselves have created for? Whoever bets the highest number of days will gain those points if they do it for that many days. And we have multiple rounds like that, where they all gain things where they have to do over and over and over to gain the points. And so no winner will be determined during the game, but at some point in the future, after either everyone has failed or completed their tasks, a winner will be decided through the points. You know, just loads of weird and wacky things like that. That one would be like one of the hardest to. Oh, I'm getting so tired. I'm slowing my words. That would be quite hard to implement. But you know, another one where all the questions are not what they seem. Yeah, the sort of thing where it's like, oh, what will be a good example? You know, the question like, who can hold, who can hold their breath for the longest? And so, I'd assume that the players would try and hold their breath. And then they'll be like, oh, I won. But the answer that I was looking for is the name of one of the players. So say if there were 3 players, Derek, Darren and Dylan, and Derek held his breath for the longest, and then Darren said, oh, I think Derek can hold their breath for the longest. Well then Darren will get the point, because they were right. Because they answered the question of who can hold their breath for the longest. The answer was Darren. Or the answer was Derek. And so Darren said Derek, so Darren got the point. You know, twists like that. And then the idea is that it'll eventually catch on with what the questions are doing. And so you swap out the questions to play into that style. Somehow. Loads of fun little twist shows like that. And I've got 30 ideas of them. All written down on my phone. Have I got the list? Let's find the list actually while I'm here. Let's have a look. Let's have a peruse. What have we got? There's one called Misdirection. What does that do? Where is that? So that's after Funny Bone and Prank. Last Survivor, Noise Machine, Self-Contained, Majority, Crowd Pleaser, Escape the Gauntlet, Prank, Funny Bone, Misdirection. Questions that aren't answered the way they first appeared. Is this X or Y? The answer is yes or no. Who can do X the best? The answer is a contender's name. Wow. The one that I pointed out is the one... That was the example that I gave. Okay, let's just scroll randomly. What do we have? Prank. Combination of complicated trivia where all players apart from one know the answers and only one player gets impossibly complicated questions. If that player figures out what is going on before the end, they win and the other players lose. The challenge is that the pranked player will never receive any points, so can the other players stop them figuring out the gimmick before the end of the game? If the pranked player doesn't figure out the gimmick, highest points wins. That's fun. Funny Bone. Funniest answer wins a point, regardless of correctness. Most points wins. Funniest answer is dictated by the host, so players will need to appease the host's sense of humour. Misdirection. That's one I read out. Middle. Odd number of contestants. Players do not know the rules for scoring points. They must figure it out. Questions and challenges that allow all players to participate with a range of answers that can be used to determine a middle answer, i.e. what is the age of this animal, along with the picture of an animal. If the answers are 12, 34 and 7, 12 is the middle answer. Whoever says the middle score earns a point. Format of game changes when players figured out the gimmick. Rather than questions that can be used to decipher the rules, the game changes to challenges where players compete to get the middle result. Time Warp. A series of branching questions. Plays like a choose your own adventure. I.e., which way do you go? Left, right. Which door do you go through? Green, red, blue. Players go through the same map. Players go through the same map independently. Only one route wins. There are multiple bad ends. Game reverts back to the beginning for each player that reached a bad end. Players have to remember what route they've learned from their own routes and their opponents to win. If a player asks to restart, they may, but players are not informed this is an option at the start. Players start with no knowledge of the game. Oh, have you ever seen the Albatross Soup? That one. So, who am I? Players ask yes or no questions to the host to identify the answers to a series of questions about a persona. Players take it in turns. To earn a point, they must ask if the answer to one of the questions is a specific thing. If the host answers yes, they earn a point. Oh, players need to identify the answers to a series of questions about a persona. So imagine it would be like, what is their favourite colour? What is their job? What did they do on July the 12th, 1999 that they do not wish to admit? Something insane like that. If the host answers yes, they can earn a point, and the question can't be asked again. Examples: what is my first name? What is my profession? The players would ask, is your name Jerry? Is your profession a lumberjack? Inspired by the YouTube video Albatross Soup. There we go. Don't laugh. Players start with points. Players take turns trying to make their fellow players laugh. If a player laughs, they lose a point. Most points at the end wins. Players are given prompts and cues. That's just endless amounts. Last Survivor recommended a large number of players. Players that fail challenges are eliminated. Last player wins. Eliminated players vote on the next challenge and modifies each round. Players get one-use immunity items. They can be earned during the game. Oh, this fantasy adventure, betting, bingo, rolls, future winner, pairs. Oh, pairs was a fun one. Uses a grid of cards, so inspired by the card game Pairs, where you have to match the pair. You know, the deck of cards. Uses a grid of cards where players each choose 2 to flip over on their turn. Challenges are prompts are written on the reverse. There are 2 copies of each. If a player chooses 2 of the same, they may attempt to complete the challenge or prompt. If they do, gain a point, and the chosen cards are removed from the board. So so you can have a whole range of challenges, some of which are horrendous, some of which that no one would ever want to do, type situation, and some that are lovely. A challenge of go eat something delicious. A challenge of jump up and down twice. A challenge of something truly horrendous can be some of the others. Oh, I've got some absolute rules that I wrote as well. So the absolute rules that every game show episode should follow. Every game must have a way to win or lose. All players remain in the game. No one should ever be removed from the games and have nothing that they can do. Even if they have no way to win themselves, they should be able to influence who the final winners is/are. So basically, every game must have a way to win or lose. At any point in the game, no player should be in a position where they are never going to be able to do anything for the rest of the game. So those are the 2 absolute rules that I want to make. The Anything Goes game show. I'd love to do it one day. And then TTRPG. I've been playing, I'm a DM. And I've been DMing a Ravnica campaign for 3 years. 3 years now. Oh. And we've been talking about wanting to live stream it. And I think I want to do it. It'd be fun. Nothing would change. Well, the only thing that would change is that I wouldn't be able to use battle maps from the internet. I'd have to make my own. But all of the Magic the Gathering artwork that I've been using, that's all fine, according to Wizards of the Coast fair use policy. So it's just battle maps, and even then, half the battle maps, well, not half, a few of the battle maps I've made myself using Incarnate. So I could just very easily just switch over to making the battle maps myself. And then there we go. We can stream on Roll20. But I want to do so much more than TTRPGs. I've got this series. I've got this, not series, this thing I've been streaming, where I've been making my own first-person puzzle game adventure. First-person multiplayer puzzle game in Roll20. And I'd love to live stream the running of that, and I'd love to live stream so many one-shots and so many ideas, because I've got so many ideas for game systems and so many ideas for scenarios that people can play in. I just need to make them, and I just don't. And I think I've got another 3 years of DMing this campaign as well. It's going to be a 6-year campaign is what I anticipate. We're halfway through it. The players, I really believe, are so invested in the world. And so I think live streaming it would be good at this point. Because it's a world now where the players have experienced it for 3 years. So the players know the world. So the just level of immersion that I think we would be able to get for people watching because the players can reference events in the world, reference characters in the world, reference so much stuff in the world that has happened that is currently affecting the current state of the world. It would just be so immersive. So I want to do it. I want to live stream it. And I think I'm done. I think I'm done chatting. I think I'm too tired. I'll be going for an hour and a half. I'm so tired. My eyes hurt. My eyes hurt so much. I want to go to bed, but it's so early. I know that if I go to bed now, I'm not going to fall asleep. So I need to wait and go to bed later. Oh yeah. I need to learn to drive. Because now that, especially in the last few years, friends have moved further away, I'm less easily able to get over to friends' houses. Because like I was staying at my mum's house, and to get to a friend's house from my mum's house, it was a 40-minute drive, or no, a 50-minute drive, or 2 hours on public transport. So I had to do 2 hours on public transport because I couldn't drive, because I can't drive. And if I'd learnt to drive, I could carry board games so much easier. I had to transport this huge board game on the London Underground and on the trains. That was a pain. That was annoying. I'd rather not do that again. Give me a car with a boot that I can just put things in and go vroom vroom, and then I'd drive there and be like, hello, I'm here. Let's play games. So yeah, learn to drive is a big one. That one I do want to wait until I move house, because I think it will be so much easier because I think if I start learning to drive and then I move house and I'm no longer near like the training instructor, say if I move to another city, I then have to find a new training instructor. So that one can wait. I learn to drive, but the others, there's no point in waiting. There's no reason why I should be waiting. I should be able to just do them now. I just need to not be... even then I say, oh, I need to not be tired. But that's something that's not going to happen immediately. That's something going to be in the future. That's something that I can work around. And then while I'm also doing these things, I can work on improving my sleep. But anyway, I'm tired. I'm going. I've ranted. I've rambled. I've mumbled. I've talked. I've done everything that I've wanted to do. I've talked to myself for 97 minutes. I think that's enough talking to myself for me to feel a bit more motivated. I am going to go. Goodbye.